who comes to this country has to really work his butt off to make it. And these guys who had it on easy street and are looking at poor people and saying,
cry me a river, Rick. Yeah. Cry me a flipping river. You chose to come to this country. Go to another country. Mm-hmm. Let me get this straight. So you just said you come to this country and this country has to give you to the people that have been here for a while. It's like me saying
no. So, you misunderstood me.
But you're saying
no. What I'm
that
saying
they have an
is
advantage. They should have an advantage.
Patrick Bet David brought on a woke leftist onto his show to complain about how America owes him everything. Basically, he thinks America owes him a whole lot more than what he is getting currently. And Patrick Bet David, who is also an immigrant, by the way, tells this guy to his face, America doesn't owe me anything. Right. And people like Patrick Bet David and most immigrants out there seem to be very grateful for America and what America has to offer. But every once in a while, you get these people who come here and they just feel as if, and a lot of people who were born here that didn't even come here, they feel as if America owes them everything because of they're a minority or they're a woman or they're an immigrant or whatever the case is. And Patrick Bet David puts this idiot in his place here live on the PBD podcast here on the Valuetainment YouTube channel. Let's get into it.
Anybody, anything.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
You use your work ethic that you have. You can do anything you want to do in America. Obviously, you're not going to be the next LeBron James if you can't jump 46 inches, but this is America.
Mm-hmm. Or if your dad didn't get you into Harvard, even though you had a C average because he was an alum there and has connections. So let's be honest about this, Patrick. Yeah. There is something to say about a country that right now is allowing not the finest to become successful, but the ones who come here with deep. I know there's guys like you and me. I came from poverty.
Who are you alluding to, though? Who are you alluding to? The guys that go to Harvard, like who?
No, I'm talking about us wanting to make Elon Musk a hero. His dad owned a diamond mine. I mean, come on, let's face it. That doesn't mean that he grew up poor. That doesn't mean he grew up rich. But there is a difference, to be fair, between a guy who comes to this country, has to really work his butt off to make it, and these guys who had it on easy street and are looking at poor people and saying,
cry me a river, Rick. Yeah. Cry me a flipping river. You chose to come to this country. Go to another country. Mm-hmm. Let me get this straight. So you just said you come to this country, and this country has to give you to the people that have been here for a while. It's like me saying
no. You misunderstood me.
But you're saying
no. What I'm saying is
that they have an advantage. They should have an advantage.
No. What I'm saying is that there's an argument that still exists, that there's some things about our country that we can fix to make sure everybody has an equal playing field.
That's not going to happen, though. Yeah, it's just not going to happen, bro. And I'm telling you right now, and it doesn't have to. That's simple. It doesn't have to improve. Look, for me, we came from Iran to U.S. The U.S. gave us a green card. We came in. U.S. doesn't owe me shit except for the green card they gave me. That's it. I don't need to have the same advantage or the same equal opportunity at John F. Kennedy's grandson. I don't need to have that.
I agree.
Yeah, so
I agree.
So,
I am your story.
Yeah,
my parents made $10,000 combined income. But we were poverty.
I get that, but that story needs to be told, not the story of we need to figure out a way to make it equal. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Well taken.
That's 100% facts from Patrick Bet David right there. I 100% agree, and I think it's rich, somebody who is successful going on, the PBD podcast here and complaining that people don't have equal opportunity in America. The equal opportunity stuff, like, why are you so worried about that, man? Just because not everybody is born on a level playing field, which that's just life, by the way. That's just how life on Earth works. Not everybody's born with an equal playing field. Like Patrick Bet David said, you're not going to be the next LeBron James if you can't jump 46 inches, right? Not everybody's born on a level playing field. But also, like, if you just work hard, you don't need to get into Harvard. You don't need to go to college at all. You can drop out of high school and be ultra successful. It doesn't matter, man. Like, if you just stop worrying about, life's so unfair. Life in America is so unfair for me. Everybody should be on a level. You just stop worrying about that. Stop crying and just get to work. You can be ultra successful just like anybody else who had an unfair advantage over you. In fact, you probably have, if we're being honest. If you're born into a poverty, into poverty or into just a low income, not high quality of life household, you probably actually have an advantage over someone who was born into the riches, right? In terms of like how successful your life is going to be, because you actually have hunger. You actually have a reason to escape the life that you're currently in, whereas they're born into, Patrick Bet-David's sons, right? They're comfortable already. They don't need to make it out. They don't need to make it out the hood. They're already living in a mansion. So they're just chilling. They don't have that hunger that people who were born with nothing have. So you kind of have an advantage, but that's how my brain works. Whereas other people, such as this guy right here that's on the PBD podcast complaining, their brains don't work that way. They're thinking, oh, I now have an out to not work as hard because I can just complain that America's not a fair place to live. Versus me, I'm like, well, I have enough advantages. I can just make it happen. And that's how Patrick Bet-David is too.
It's just not for me to say, hey, it's unfair that, we need to make it equal that LeBron's kids can play basketball because they're, I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay
but
with
not if they're only 5 feet tall.
But the point, so something like Shannon Sharp says one time, he says, look, I understand the argument. I was born with this body.
Yep.
I got a badass body. And it's unequal opportunity to you and I versus Shannon Sharp. You look at the guy, he's just got it, right? So what we're going to say, hey, work out less? Hey, do me a favor, do a little bit less legs? Can you run a little slower? Can you, no, that's not, this is how it was created. So for us to come here and be able to compete, Elon Musk was an immigrant when he came here. And Elon Musk was able to build a company, and we should actually get the kids. Again, this goes back to a conversation we had a few months ago where we have to be careful who we turn into hero where our kids aspire to be. If we demonize people that are heroes, our kids don't want to be like those people.
So let me just say this.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. Maybe this is the way I should present my argument, pushing back on you a little bit, that it's
totally
all about we're all equal and everybody's the same, and we all get to the same place, and it's all about your merit, which I understand. And if it's a meritocracy, and if it's truly a meritocracy, I'm all for it. But if we live in a country where a specific company can get subsidies from the government because they lobbied certain politicians and those politicians accepted the money and then allowed that company to have an advantage over my company in a corrupt way, then we got to fix that.
And why do we got to fix that, man? Like, okay, if we're looking at it objectively, right? If we're looking at it from how can we make the world and the country a better place? Yeah, we should probably fix that, right? I agree. I think lobbying should just be illegal. I don't think that should be a thing. Like, it just shouldn't be a thing. And I think, anybody who would sit down and listen to the argument would also end up agreeing with me that lobbying is a net negative for the country. Okay, I agree. But if we're talking on a personal level, if we're talking on a person-to-person level, my personal life or your personal life listening to this right now, why do we have to fix that? Why? Why not just, if you understand the rules of the game, then you can operate in a way that you use the rules of the game to your advantage? Why not just think of it that way, right? Just get rich and powerful so that you can use the corruption to your advantage. Like I said, I understand if we're looking at it, how can we in general make the world and the country a better place? Yeah, we should probably cut lobbying out. But if you see the corruption, you can see through it, you can see exactly what's happening, just use it to your advantage. I don't understand these crybabies, man.
Some of that is happening in America today.
Well, you're talking about lobbying and corrupt
I'm talking about if you could just make the argument that everybody...
There's no way that Pat's going to disagree with you on that. That's something that Pat advocates against nonstop. We have lobbyists. Yeah, exactly.
6 weeks ago. I'm so against what the lobbyists are doing. But
yeah, exactly. So all I'm saying is within our system, there are advantages for certain people who have certain money. Okay,
bro, those are two different stories.
I took it out of the immigrant basis.
No, I get that. To me, those are two different stories.
What I think your perspective is, and this is just me, sitting on your right for 2 years now. It's all you owe me once you let me in the country is the opportunity to succeed or fail.
Yeah.
Just you let me in. And, they say nobody cares, work harder. That's basically your perspective.
No,
you let me in. Thank you. It's on me now.
And Pat, your mom and dad, it was a process, right?
That's his story.
They had to wait in line, and they had to wait till they get their card, and they came in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but by the way,
that's what I'm
absolutely.
saying.
We lived at a refugee camp for a year and a half.
Yeah.
By the way, that everyone at this table has the same story.
100%.
My family fled Eastern Europe in the 1920s and all settled here in America. Your family fled Cuba. His family fled Iran.
My parents came on a boat for 30 days.
Immigration gets complicated, though, guys. And that's why I keep going back to we need a system to make it make sense. Because right now it doesn't make sense. And here's what happens right now. I'll give you an example. There's a company in Dalton, Georgia. It is the carpet mill manufacturing place of the entire world. When their workers all left or died or got old from the Appalachians who were here from World War II, their kids said, Dad, Mom, I don't want to work at the mill.
Yeah.
I don't want that job. So the entire industry was about to dry up. That industry found a way to go to Mexico and recruit people who came to this country to save the carpet mill industry, which is now thriving once again in Dalton, Georgia. I went there and I talked to the people in Dalton, Georgia. I said, what do you think of these people? They said, at first we were very concerned, but now, the guy who runs the dry cleaner, the guy who's the Chamber of Commerce guy says, they come into work earlier, they leave late, they always pay their bills on time, they filled up our churches, they're great to have in this community. So, and here is a company that illegally went to Mexico and recruited undocumented immigrants to refill their positions that Americans apparently didn't want. There's a story there that tells us something. I'm not sure what it is, but I think part of that story is...
I'm not entirely sure what it is either. I think this guy kind of backed down from his argument a bit once Patrick Bet-David really, stood his ground and told him exactly why he's being really stupid right now. And I think Patrick Bet-David absolutely wiped the floor with this guy in this debate. I'll never understand these sorts of people who are rich and still complain about how I don't have the same opportunities that other people have. Like, why? I don't really know who this guy is, but any single time I see someone operating in this way that is already successful, I always think he must have something to sell. He must have a book or something that's telling people why they're oppressed and why they don't have the same opportunities as others. And that's why he's trying to push that agenda onto people, because he's trying to sell his book. It has to be something like that, right? I don't know. Let me know in the comments who this guy is and if he has something to sell. And let me know in the comments what you guys think about this episode of the PBD podcast where Patrick Bet-David put this guy in his place, put this woke idiot in his place for trying to complain about how immigrants don't have equal opportunity or whatever the hell he was complaining about. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Patrick Bet-David versus this woke idiot here live on the PBD podcast.